What's up, guys? Happy Black History Month. It is February. We are in the second month of the year, and it is time to talk about the books that I plan on reading this month. This month's theme is, of course, tailored towards Black authors across the globe, particularly in the fantasy genre. Honestly, these titles are pretty popular. But if you're wondering what I'm reading this month, I am here to tell you. Right now, I'm currently reading the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I am about 4 chapters into this, and I am already loving it. Most of you guys know that I'm a big fan of The Spear Cuts Through Water. I love a book that really shifts narrative perspective in unique ways, and this book also has that. So we're introduced to the main character in this book through the second person, which is always super unique. And we also have some characters that we follow from a third person narrative, and I'm very curious to see where this goes. I don't want to talk too much about what this book is about because I've heard that you really want to go into it without really any expectations like I did, and I'm loving it so far. I think behind the story is a very, very unique magic system. The world building has really captured me. I am so invested in what's going to happen, and I'm only 4 chapters in, so this book is already to a good start. Probably heard about this book already. This is probably not a new recommendation to you, but I know people are a big fan of this book and this author. I hear that N.K. Jemisin is one of the leading voices in fantasy, and that's already ringing true from what I've experienced so far. Here it's a part of a trilogy, so I'm excited to check out the other books as well. After that, I'm going to be reading Children of Blood and Bone by Tome Adeyemi. I am so pumped for this. I've been talking about it for a long time about how much I want to read this book. My brother got this for me for my birthday last July, and it's just been sitting on my shelves forever. Now's the time that I'm at least going to start reading it. Tome Adeyemi is a Nigerian-American author who's written this fantasy novel, which is like the first of many within this. I believe it's a trilogy right now. I think they are making a movie out of it. Someone's gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I definitely want to read this before the movie comes out so I can have that experience of comparing both projects. I have heard nothing but praise about this story without really knowing much about it. Magic seems to be at the heart of this story. Revenge seems to be at the heart of this story. I really love both of those things, so of course I'm excited about this book. I always get stuck trying to sing praise about a book that I haven't read yet, and that never feels productive. So if you've already read this book, please in the comments let me know why you loved it and why other people should read it too, because I'm going to be reading this month. I'm excited to tell you more about it once I've done so. This is the second book of the month that I'll be reading. Last but not least on our February TBR is Evan Winter's The Rage of Dragons. This book has gotten nothing from praise from some of my favorite book talkers like Smitty and many others. This book is apparently action-packed, and honestly, it's probably been like a year since I've read a story surrounded by dragons, and you can just never go wrong when you're on a fantasy kick to read a story about dragons. Like, dragons are always going to hit no matter what. In my longer 2025 TBR video, I talked about the one thing I know about this book being is that the action kind of starts right here and just goes all the way through, and that it really doesn't take a second to breathe. You're just thrown into madness. I'm ready to turn things up a notch. Cannot wait to check this one out and would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. These are the 3 books I'm going to try to knock out before the month is over. We'll see if I actually get that done or if I accidentally throw something else into the mix, but this will be what I'm reading, and you should read along. If you are looking for recommendations about books you should read this month, I've got 3 that I really love from Black authors. The first one's going to be The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I read this book for the first time last year and was floored. Not only does this book really tell what I think is an incredible story about the power of community, togetherness, and hope, this also pretty much predicts everything that's happened to us as a country in the past 60 days. So it is incredibly eerie. This takes place on the West Coast in something that is Los Angeles or similar to Los Angeles, that essentially is constantly dealing with this climate crisis, and communities are kind of falling apart. And the main character of this story takes it upon herself to not only start a new community, but build up a religion based on the foundation of togetherness and hope and accountability. I left this book with a real sense of purpose, and I think the writing is truly incredible, and I highly recommend checking it out. They Will Drown in Their Mother's Tears by Johannes Onyuru. This book was crazy. It's a little bit more on the sci-fi side of things. Essentially, this person travels through time to stop themselves from doing a terrorist attack, and you follow a journalist who is trying to figure out why this person only wants to talk to them about what's going on. Clearly, the journalist does not believe that this lady has traveled through time. We get the story told to us from both alternative timelines, and it's just such an interesting read. Highly recommend checking this one out. The other book I don't actually have a physical copy of. It is Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. That is a really wonderful story that was really game-changing for me last year. It is a historical fiction that follows the life of this young boy who is deaf, and his parents pass away due to a tragic accident, and ultimately the community of Black people and Jewish people in this poor town in Pennsylvania come together to try to protect him from the government trying to send him to what's essentially a crazy house where a bunch of terrible things happen. So we follow this young boy, and we also follow these two different cultures kind of coming together despite being at odds at certain points. It's a very interesting conversation around race, ethnicity, class, wealth, music, and dance, surprisingly enough. I really love that story. I think the writing is perfect, and I really recommend anybody give it a read. That is Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. But yeah, those are the 3 books I'm going to read this month. There are also 3 books you should read this month, and that is 6 great books for Black History Month. Hope you guys get a chance to read some of these, or if you already have, let me know what you think in the comments. If you've got other recommendations, I would be so happy to hear them, and I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. Happy reading.